Fact and follow-up segment tonight, as we reported last week, tens of millions of dollars, much of it tax money, going to the community activist group Acorn. And now we learn that big corporate money is being donated to Acorn as well. A partial list. Bank of America has given $3 million since 2005. J.P. Morgan, $5 million since '98. And Citigroup gave $5,000 to the Baltimore chapter of Acorn. Of course, all three of those banks are getting TARP money. The question is, where's all the cash going? Joining us now in Washington, Reverend Gloria Swearinga, chairwoman of the Maryland chapter of Acorn, and Bertha Lewis, Acorn's CEO. First of all, ladies, we appreciate your coming in here. That speaks very well of you. And Ms. Lewis, as you know, we found out that millions of dollars in Acorn donations are being sent down to 1024 Elysian Fields Avenue in New Orleans, an old funeral home. We went down there. Nobody would tell us very much. So the money goes in there, and then what happens to it?
Well, first of all, let me just set the record straight, and let me thank you, Mr. O'Reilly, for having us on your show, because we do want to talk about what we really do. It's an old address. It used to be our original headquarters, an old converted funeral home, as you say, and for many years, our chapter, and we operated out of there, and for many years in New Orleans, that was where our main headquarters was. And so it isn't like a sucking machine where money goes in.
It's a depot.
It was our corporate office.
And not only you, but about 260 other organizations that are tied in somewhat to you philosophically, some financially, go there. It is. But when the money comes in, it goes to a group called Citizens Consulting, Inc. That's a private concern, so I can't see their books. But we're talking about tens of millions of dollars, some of it my money, Miss Lewis. Some of it I worked hard for and gave it to the government. You have gotten that money through various government programs. So where does the money go? Why can't I see how Acorn spends the tens of millions of dollars it gets?
I think you see it every day. Most of that money that we get, we do foreclosure prevention. We've tried to protect children from lead poisoning every single day, you know. In fact, helping people stay in their homes, helping folks get affordable housing. So we've been doing this work for almost 40 years.
So the money that you get, all of these tens of millions, goes to help poor people. But then we have a guy named Dale Rathke, who apparently embezzled $1 million from you. His brother, Wade, was the former head of Acorn. And Acorn does not bring charges against Mr. Rathke. So, Ms. Lewis, you can see how someone like me can say, hey, this organization, Acorn, is not being run responsibly. A guy embezzled $1 million. They wouldn't prosecute the man. This Wade Rathke still has an office in your headquarters in Canal Street in New Orleans. You can see where I'm a little suspicious, madam.
Well, let me just clear it up for you. Number one, I am the CEO and chief organizer. I have zero tolerance for any sort of misdoing.
Then why did you prosecute
we found
Dale
out
Rathke?
This happened 8 years ago, and the board immediately terminated them.
Why didn't you prosecute
wrongdoing?
$1 million is a lot of money.
And we've recovered every single dime and will not tolerate any employee on my staff, under my regime.
Right, with all due respect, Ms. Lewis, that was a major mistake to let that man not be prosecuted. Now, I want to get over to the Reverend.
I wasn't in charge, but I'll tell you this. Anyone that does wrongdoing, I'm in charge. We will take swift action.
Well, you're going to be very busy because you got indictments in Pennsylvania, Missouri, Washington State, and Nevada right now. Now, I want to get over to you, Reverend. Your philosophy, okay, of America, is it a socialist philosophy? Do you believe that I, as a rich man, Reverend, should give my money or it be taken from me by the government to poor people? Do you believe that, ma'am?
I believe that America is a democracy, and I believe that properly constructed, there is room for everyone to prosper. Part of the problem is our society tends to be structured so that the people on the bottom have a little bit of difficulty finding their way to a better position.
Okay, and that certainly is true. Now, should the government force, then, me take more than half my income, or whatever the government sees fit to take, give it to organizations like Acorn to spread around to the poor. Is that economic justice? Is that social justice, madam?
My view of, I'm not aware of the government taking your money and giving it to Acorn. What I am aware of is that Acorn competes for grants like any other organization.
But philosophically, should the government have the right to take my money and give it to people who are poor?
We're not encouraging the government to take your money and give it to anyone. We are encouraging the government to do more than it's doing, to have a level societal playing field. We believe that all of God's children deserve a seat in the choir, not just the rich.
Okay. Now, Ms. Lewis, I'm going to ask you pretty much the same question. It seems to me that Acorn is a quasi-socialist organization, that you want to give. It's almost a Robin Hood organization. Take from the rich, give to the poor, because that's the only way the Reverend's philosophy can come true. You have to get the money from somewhere, and the only place you can get it from is from people who make it. So I think you're a quasi-socialist organization. Am I wrong?
Well, I think you are wrong, Mr. O'Reilly, but we have 400,000 plus members all across the country. Working people, low and moderate income people. They pay taxes, they work hard, they want to see a good democratic society. And all of these labels that we put on socialists, I don't know about that. I know one thing. We're proud Americans. We've been doing this work and doing housing work and working in poor neighborhoods for over 40 years. And we think that the right thing to do is to have a level playing field for all Americans.
I absolutely respect your point of view. Now, I'm going to ask you one question now, and this is important, Ms. Lewis. Will you let...
All of your questions are important.
Well, thank you.
Mr.
I appreciate it.
Ryan.
I hope you think you've gotten a fair shake, ladies, because that's what I try to give you. Will you let my investigators see the books of the Citizens Consulting, Inc. operation, which takes the money that's given to you and spread it around? Can my investigators see your books?
Well, you see, Mr. Riley, there you go again.
No, it's a yes or no,
Let me see
Ms.
the
Lewis.
books. Let me see
the books.
Citizens Consulting. You know,
we
comply with all laws everywhere.
Then
you
should have no problem with letting us see the books so we can report that.
We make sure that folks do that. Now, I don't think that, as far as I know, that your investigators are, government CPAs.
They're the best in the business. So I'm going to take that as a no, Ms. Lewis, but I'm going to leave the offer open. We will be happy on a moment's notice to come down and look at your books so that we can show America and the world that you guys are up and up. Ladies, I appreciate you very much. Thank you for coming on.